Year, roundup, year and season. Everything. ...2021 has been pretty good actually. I think I started this year with pretty high expectations. I felt like 2020 was kind of about as good as it could be with all the general things going on with COVID and travel and I guess getting experience racing as a pro. So yeah, 2021 I definitely thought, you know, this can be the year of trying to put together a more all-round Ironman. We obviously at the beginning of the year thought we were going to get a Kona. So yeah, I was kind of excited to race some more of the top girls and see where that left me. Yeah, I think overall, really good year. It's definitely been some massive highlights. Been a few not quite so great points, but I think you always have the kind of highs and lows of a season. So yeah, I think highlights would definitely be Boulder. Like, it was just such a great trip. I think meeting some of the guys that live out there and training with them, making some new friends, and generally just the ease of training out there was just brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Very keen to go back at some point. Tulsa, just from a kind of good race experience. You know, I was obviously disappointed with the bike, but put together a good run and actually had a half decent swim. So I think for like a big championship race that had a really strong field, lots of good learnings to take away from it. Then I guess there was a few of the kind of local PTO races during the summer, which to be honest was mainly just fun to kind of hang out with all the British pros and do some races that were easy to get to, didn't involve too much travel. And yeah, obviously getting my first pro win in Holcombe was quite a highlight. You know, it wasn't a big race, but it was nice. Like, my coach was there, lots of people from the Riot Racing Club were there, so it just felt like a really nice atmosphere. Yeah, and I think having a battle with someone like Kim that I've kind of looked up to, given she's had a really similar journey into the sport as me, and because she's just so good on the bike, kind of being able to battle with her on the bike was really good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed Holcombe. I think those outlaw races are just really well put on, really great courses. Obviously then the year changed a little bit with Kona being cancelled. Found a new race, went for Majorca again. Going out with friends really appealed to me, and a race that I knew would hopefully suit me with kind of being a bit tougher on the bike. And yeah, Majorca was just brilliant. Sort of had a really good couple of weeks before it in the lead up, kind of doing a bit of training, getting to know the course a bit better, being able to do some training with Fenella was really nice, and Imogen. Then just having like probably the most chilled out taper week that I've ever had in the run up to the race, which also was great. Again, Will was out there and a lot of the Riot guys were out there, so really nice atmosphere around the race. All the support from all the Brits out there was absolutely amazing. And obviously taking my first Ironman win was pretty special. Majorca definitely will go down as one of my highlight races. South Africa, a bit of a last minute decision. Really wanted to go and do it. Such a bucket list race for me. It's like amazing experience. Was very well looked after by Ironman. It was really nice to kind of spend time with people like Natia. Really tough race. Those kind of conditions, that kind of wind just all the time is brutal. I think probably the key takeaways I would take from probably Majorca and South Africa is you can just keep pushing yourself even when you think you really want to stop. You don't want to keep going. The mental strength to keep going and keep being able to push through, that kind of gives me good confidence going into next year. So yeah, I think all in all, things I'm most proud of, probably the swim improvements. I think both Majorca and South Africa, I kind of came out with the main group, which is really new for me and really nice. And if I can be in that situation for St George next year, that would be ideal. Bike-wise, I think I've kind of got back to a point where the bike has been going well again, so hopefully that kind of continues. And run-wise, obviously, end of the year was a bit hampered with my calf injury, but I know the run fitness is kind of there under everything. So yeah, it gives me, I guess, like a lot of confidence going to next year. Biggest improvements, definitely the swim. Probably the thing that it's just turning up every day. Like I do think with the swim, it's just consistency, it's time in the water, it's working on all the little things, trying not to get disheartened, even though that's really hard. Definitely something I struggled with massively last year. Definitely had a lot of crying about swimming last year. Swim improvements have been massive, and hopefully they'll just keep improving. I think also just the other thing actually that I think I've done quite well this year is then also negotiate some sponsors for next year. So that's something I guess these last couple of years has been really tough and probably like exacerbated by COVID. So to actually now be in a point where I've got a couple of sponsors that are actually paying me some cash feels like a really big deal. And to have finally landed a bike sponsor makes me quite proud. I think they're probably the things that I've done best this year. In terms of where I think there's still room for improvement, I think it is just putting together that complete race. And I think, you know, that's probably something that everyone's working towards, because it's very rare that you put together like a really good race. Definitely not been able to put together a really good performance in all three. So like I'd say Majorca, my run was probably about as good as it was going to be off the back of my calf injury, but I know I can run way better than that. Next year I'll be focusing on what else can I do to make sure that I can swim and bike like I did in Majorca in South Africa, but then also run like I did in Tulsa, slash hopefully better. But I think highlight of the year has got to be winning Majorca, because there was crowds there, because I knew so many people there, and it was really nice to be able to share that with so many people. Low point was probably that calf injury before Majorca. I think everything else had been going so well, my running had been going so well, and I felt like I'd been really on top of the kind of strength and mobility and all of those things to help prevent injury. So yeah, when I had that calf niggle kind of 2 weeks out from Nice, it's very, very frustrating. I think, you know, probably all triathletes, I'm sure everyone's had some kind of injury. I guess I was lucky that it wasn't serious. So actually, you know, I had a couple of weeks off running and then managed to get back on the underwater treadmill. And I actually used that time to focus more on actually, okay, let's get some more bike miles in, let's focus on all the other stuff that I can do. Because I think it's very easy when you're injured to focus on what you can't do and find that like very frustrating and get yourself in a bit of a negative spiral of, oh, I can't do this and this is going to impact the race. I also worked quite hard with Will in the run up to Majorca, get my mindset in a really good place of having the confidence on the run. We actually probably had a couple of, I guess, almost like banging head moments of me being quite cautious about the amount of running I should do in the run up to Majorca, but Will kind of saying, actually, I think you should try and do a couple of runs of like an hour so that you know that you can do it, which in hindsight I'm glad I did, because there definitely was that point on the marathon where I was like, oh, okay, I feel like my calf can get through this because of those runs that I did. Whilst it was a low light, it also showed you can put together generally quite a good race without necessarily having the ideal prep, and that you can always kind of turn things around a little bit and just, I guess, make the most of what you can do, whatever the circumstances. All things considered, could have been much worse.